sort out. Okay, welcome to our webinar, Email Archiving with PDF and PDFA, and we'll use our PDF compressor to convert emails. So that's what we want to do with you today. It should be 40-45 minutes, something like that, in order to hopefully give you some interesting information about this topic of today. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Thomas Sillman. I'm working here for sales at Foxit Europe, and I will do the webinar together with Armin, and Armin will also introduce himself as he's hopefully online. So we have President Obama in Berlin these days, and he got stuck a little bit. So I hope he's online, and then he can present and give you also some practical tips, please.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. I hope everyone can hear me. I just arrived literally 2 minutes ago, but I think I'm all fine and set. And a few technical hints. You may have noticed everyone's muted in our webinar, so you'll only ever hear us talking. That doesn't mean we don't want to hear any questions from you, but you'll have to enter your questions in this questions field in the GoToWebinar user interface, and we'll try our best to answer all questions that come up in the course of the webinar. Judging from experience, that doesn't always work. Sometimes there are too many questions, sometimes the questions are very specific, and in these cases we will try to answer them, or we will answer them in the aftermath via email or even via telephone. And also if afterwards something seems unclear, or if any further questions come up, you're of course very welcome to contact us through the channels listed in the presentation, and we will also make this presentation and a recording of the webinar available to all participants. At the end of the webinar there will be a short questionnaire, and we would kindly ask you to fill out these few questions. It's really just a handful of questions, and we find that quite valuable feedback in terms of improving our ongoing series of webinars. So thank you very much for that already. And back to Thomas for the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Armin, for the introduction. And yeah, I would like to give some slides and presentation about the environment of email archiving, email management. Before we come to the topic, briefly, for those who do not know Foxit or Foxit Europe so far, I have 2 slides just to give you our background and to make sure that you know that Foxit is a PDF company. So on the one hand, this is the Foxit Product Solutions. So I hope you know already Foxit, or maybe you're already a Foxit customer. The main product is the Foxit Reader, which is a PDF viewer, an alternative to Acrobat or Adobe Reader, and obviously I'm using this one. So if you look here, then we are looking to a PDFA presentation, let's put it this way, and we're also using this. And one nice thing I love with Foxit Reader, because I'm also a PDFA3 fan, I would say, is that with PDFA3, some of you know already, or you will learn during the webinar, you can embed or attach files. This is a clip here on the left side, and the red dot will signalize that something is embedded, but Armin will come back to this with his practical examples on email conversion. The flagship product is Phantom PDF, which is a complete PDF editor. So this is an alternative to Acrobat. So if you do need to work on PDF documents on your desktops, whether it's a small company or even a very large company with a lot of things, then Foxit itself has a lot of PDF toolkits and SDKs, things like that. So very simple. If you have any requirements, needs around PDF, it's always good to check with Foxit. There may be others as well, but I hope we are always worth that you contact us with, and hopefully we can help with good solutions. A new initiative is called Connected PDF. This is a cloud-based PDF ecosystem which really allows for collaboration when you work on PDF documents, so whether it's within your organization or with business partners, so it's in the cloud, and you have versioning, you have access rights, so very interesting thing. Not topic today, but if you want to learn more, there are also webinars about that. Some of you know Foxit Europe because we have been Luratech in former times. Now, after the merger 1 year ago, we are now Foxit Europe, and just to make sure for those who know us and those who have not heard about Foxit Europe, what we bring to the Foxit family is what I like to call the PDF server products, which mainly goes around document conversion on the server side. And this is mainly two products, two solutions. That's a PDF compressor on the one hand. This is also the focus product here in our webinar. When Armin will do the demonstration later, he will use it to convert emails. And a new product in this year, which now has already some customers, is the rendition server. This goes for central PDF conversion, not the topic of today, but if you have multiple applications which create PDF within your organization, then you may want to centralize this, and this is where a rendition server can help. So when we talk about PDF and PDFA, then hopefully we know something about that. And this is also where Foxit and former Luratech is very active in the PDF Association. So our managing director, Carsten Heiermann, is a member of the board in the PDF Association. Myself, I'm acting as a managing director for the PDF Association. And the development team from Armin is very active in the ISO standards committee. So when the PDF standards have been developed and there are new initiatives, very interesting initiatives, so those is where we actively participate in those working groups to move PDF forward and add new things. Okay, this was an introduction, hopefully a quick overview about Foxit and Foxit Europe. When we come to the topic of email archiving and management now, so this is a, I would like to call it an introduction slide. It's rather short, but to give you the right content to see in which context email archiving to PDF, to PDFA is a good thing, what we think, and a lot of customers are doing this already, but it's sometimes more. So I would like to split it from the classification point of view, that there's obviously the point what I like to call the archiving, and this is somewhat the foundation. So when I talk to about management in a minute, there are a lot of more things which you want to cover in your organization when you do an email management. But the archiving, the document or the email, this is really the foundation of your whole system, and this is where our presentation goes along. So it's on the base level. And there are two approaches. Typically, what we have seen in a lot of customers when we talk to them, the one thing is that you really do archiving at, I like to call it, at your entrance door or your entry door. So every incoming email goes typically to a hardware box, and there mainly for compliance reasons. Maybe you're a bank, then you can imagine this very easily. You record everything. So this contains spam mails, virus mails, marketing mails, but for compliance you can make sure you have received some mail or you have not when somebody give you a tough question about it. For the what I like to call the business or the net mails, so the real mails with contents where you work with your customers and your business partners, this is where conversion to PDF on the document level is a very good thing to do, and as you will see in the presentation, hopefully this delivers a lot of benefits. But, and this is what I want to say with this slide also, there's more if you're really thinking about a complete email management, and I just want to touch it briefly. So you need to do think about the organization, who's doing what, who is responsible for bringing the emails, the important emails to the archive. Do you do it centrally, or every employee is responsible to archive the important ones? There may be policies which you want to set up. You want to integrate it into workflow. So there's an email incoming. How does it move through your organization? How is it processing? So the content, the real work done. If you have a digital mail room, you want to integrate this, so you still receive a lot of paper from your customers and business partners. You receive faxes and you want to integrate this into your digital mail room. And there are a lot of also more technical things. What about security? How do you want to handle the spam? What do you do with private mails? Do you allow this for your employees, or don't you allow this? So for example, we are in Germany here, then if you allow private mails, then it gets very fast, very dangerous. So basically you don't want to allow this for your employees. And obviously at the end, it should all come together, because I'm the customer of an insurance and I don't care whether I send an email, whether I send a good old paper letter, whether I send a fax. When I call my insurance, then I want to that they have my complete folder, my complete case, and can handle my case and answer my questions. And this is, with all the nice digital things, there are still a lot of application usages out there where we have seen that there are the mails sitting in a big Outlook server, millions of mails, but not really related to maybe the paper mails. And this is where typically document management systems or ECM systems come in order to bring it all together to make it a logical customer folder, project folder, however you organize this. This slide tries to cover the legal aspects a little bit. This is different in each country, so maybe you may need to check in your company. So obviously we are in Germany, so we take the famous GUBD, so you don't need to learn it if you're from an international, but there are laws. And the one simple question is, which you may also raise, is it allowed to convert the emails to PDF? And in Germany, and this is also true in other countries, it's explicitly allowed. It's even recommended to do that, to have a safe long-term version, because this is a business document and you need to keep those business documents for whatever your organization is, 10 years, 20 years, or even longer. So this is one important thing, that it is allowed, and it's a good best practice to do it. And also one very interesting thing, and those German recommendations, not really a law, is that it must remain machine readable. So it's not to be rasterized, to give it a technical term, or to give it more user term, but we have seen those users that they are still, because they don't have a good email handling, they just print it out, the important ones, and scan it. So they have a running scan operation, and that was a simple pragmatic solution, but I think you can very easily agree that these are technically, not logically, the best way to do it. There are some special rules. I just picked one here, but I think it's maybe also something, if you think about complete email management, interesting. So there are also recommendations. So if it's email is just a transport vehicle, so just think I'm sending you an invoice. The invoice will be likely a PDF, in Germany even a Sackfert PDF invoice. And this is the one. This is the one, and the email is just the transporter, the car for the invoice, which drives the invoice to you, and there's no need to do it. So this is just one example that there are some things you want to consider when you go for email management. But as I said, the conversion to PDF-A is a very sound foundation for that. When we look a little bit technically into what is an email about, then you basically have three elements. So the one is the header file, which is typically technical information. So this is where, who is the sender, who is the receiver, maybe somebody is copied, which are the notes, where it went through, so sometimes very technical, when was it delivered, timing, things like that. But all in all, there is some important metadata which should be preserved in the archive, and the good PDF tools will keep those information. Then we have typically the body. So this is simply what I type or what you type, just from plain text up to, but you know, and this is where it gets already a little bit tricky. You may have formatted text, you may have plain text, very simple, but think of marketing mails, and those guys like to do HTML with nice graphics, pictures, things like that. So you really want to have the mail, which is the one which was sent and which considers the content which is important for the business. And then obviously, and this is where PDF conversion and PDF-A really gets tricky on the one hand, but also brings in the fun and the benefit, the whole set of attachments, so that everything can come. You know that from the daily life. So there's maybe Office attachments, whether it's Microsoft Office or Open Office, so all the Office packages, PDF files itself, CAD files, so if you're in the machine industry, for example, and so on, you may have executables like Excel files, like batch, and you may have package stuff like zip and tar. This also makes a difference. How good is a conversion tool to handle all this properly? And this is what I promise you will Armin show you in some minutes. From the logical point of view, this is what I would call the best practice, what we have seen, because as I said, many users and many of our PDF compressor users are doing conversion of emails to PDFA for a long term. So the longest one I can think of is even doing that for 10 years. So that's not brand new, it's just really a proper handling and bring it all together in the document management system. So obviously you need to keep the integrity, it needs to be authentic, and it should be a reproduction where what PDFA is for, in order to make sure you can work with that. And this dual strategy has really proven as a best practice. This depends a little bit on the organization. So on the one hand, you really, as I said in the beginning, may really want to put a hardware box where you archive every email. This is really mainly for compliance reasons and depends likely on your organization type. If you are government or if you're a bank, then you may need or you must do that, because somebody may sue you in the worst case that I sent you a mail 2-3 weeks ago and you did not answer, and I don't know, the deadline has passed. Smaller companies, let's be honest, Fox at Europe, we are not doing that. So this is just to give something, but what we are doing is really to have the logical thing. So all those net business mails where I talk to my customers, where we talk to the business partners, they are really converted to PDFA in order to make a safe file into the archive. And also just from the timing, this is also somewhat a best practice. So it's really best to do it early in the process. So today is in brackets, but this gives the point. So if you do the whole email thing and then after 5 years or 10 years you say, okay, let's archive all the old emails, then there may be technical problems or conversion problems, layout problems, or there was an attachment with some specific kind of application software which is not available anymore in your organization. So today or an early conversion is good. So if there is something which is going wrong, then it can be solved rather quickly and gets harder in 5 or 10 years from now. A few words about PDFA. You have seen the small movie in the introduction, so I guess and hope most of you know what PDFA is. So everybody knows PDF. A stands for archiving. It's a worldwide ISO standard, was already standardized 10 years ago to have something which really gives us a static, secure and safe document in our digital world. So something, sometimes I just call it digital paper as a very simple comparison. And this is where it is, and it comes in different parts which allow for different options. So 10 years ago the ISO started with part 1, and the ISO knew at this point in time, on the one hand it's an archiving standard forever, so PDFA 1 will never get invalid. This would be crazy somehow, but obviously ISO also said 10 years ago the world will move on, there may be good things, and we want to add this, and especially in the case of emails, PDFA 3 is quite interesting. And this is the main goals what is delivered, and PDFA just the other way around, like it's with software where you always get new features. It's mainly, that's what you can think of very easily, it's a subset of PDF. So you may have seen PDFs where JavaScript is used, where you have dynamic forms, PDF forms, all very nice things, or you have seen 3D models where you see the machine flying around. This is very nice, lovely applications, but not very good if we're talking two-dimensional business documents where we want to make sure we have a safe and secure representation, and we can do it in 10, 20 or 50 years from now. And this is what PDFA is for, and it offers feature. So just compared maybe to TIFF, because I mentioned it, it has simple things. It has metadata, it's searchable, it has compression things. So this is where PDF is a modern format, and that's also why ISO decided to do such a long-term archiving standard based on PDF. And obviously as PDF Association, we're always looking around, so we do not see, to our best knowledge, any successor to PDF for classic documents these ways. And then when you start to convert the emails, then just to give an overview about the parts. So if you go for PDFA 1, then this allows for what I like to call flattened conversion. So just think of an email, and we'll see it in a minute. It has a body and it has a Word attachment and the PowerPoint attachment, so this all goes into one PDF-A file. And as I said, I like or even love PDF-A3. So this allows, for the technical guys, it's rather boring. It's just one feature. You can embed any file. So in the worst case, you can even embed the virus, but if you use it really in the business, then you have multiple options which you can use for that. And then this is always a little bit hard to describe in such a webinar, but this is one of the major benefits of PDF compressor that we have, as I said, the longest or oldest long-term customers, 10 years. So over the years, we really collected a lot of experiences, and it's all those tricky and special cases which you need to handle, and this is what PDF compressor can do these days very efficiently. And this is where we come now to the live demonstration. So PDF compressor is a server-based tool which can convert emails, and Armin will give you some practical examples now for that.
Well, thank you very much, Thomas.
I need to switch you just a second.
Mm-hmm. And it's probably best if you mute yourself.
So now you should be the presenter.
Okay, all right. So here we go. Okay, just a quick example. Thomas already mentioned quite a lot of features, and the challenge, of course, is always to demonstrate a bit of that in the course of the webinar without taking too much time and without losing your attention. So I have prepared an email message. These two files actually represent one and the same message. It's not very exciting. It looks like this in Outlook. So this is the MSG file saved from Microsoft Outlook. Just single line of text more or less. It bears the presentation of this webinar. I can open it up quickly. You see it in Microsoft PowerPoint. It contains an attachment which is supposed to be a fax document, also rather uninteresting, and an Excel spreadsheet containing one sheet and a few graphics, a table, some text, whatever. Okay, so that's the message as shown in Outlook. We can open up the same from this EML file, say in Thunderbird. Probably some other mail readers can handle these EML files as well. And you see it's pretty much the same. I don't need to open up all the attachments once again. So the one noteworthy thing here is that PDF compressor always starts with saved email files. It does not by itself directly poll a mail server. It does not connect to an IMAP account or a POP3 account on your server. We can help you set up such a system such that incoming mails from certain accounts are saved in this fashion, but the starting point for PDF compressor itself is always the email saved to a file. But as you have seen, these emails already contain all their attachments. That's why this one-line email actually takes up more or less 1 megabyte of storage space. Okay, so now where does PDF compressor come into play? This is, and I hope at least some of you are familiar with that, this is the user interface of PDF compressor Enterprise. Each of these entries here represents one compression job. I'll get to that soon. And these two progress bars down here represent the two processor cores that I have licensed on this machine. The machine actually has 4 processor cores, but we know that during webinars it's not such a good idea to saturate all the processing power while also trying to transmit, so it may cause your audio to break up or something. So what did I just do? I can repeat it. I just dragged and dropped one of the emails into this list and thereby directly created a job. And if I hit this start button now, it immediately starts to convert this email message. So that's the most straightforward way to quickly set up a job. You could do the same with a folder. So if I drag a folder here, it creates another job, but actually I don't need this one right now because I have setups prepared for the 3 subfolders that you see here. So hopefully this gets done. Okay, here we go. So this is the converted representation of your email message in PDF. As you saw, this is PDF A, all fine and well. It contains the header files from, date, to, subject, attachments, and you see it's a pretty decent representation of what we saw in Outlook or Thunderbird. Okay, what about the attachment? Well, that's where it's getting a little complicated, and I would rather like to show that in terms of these 3 jobs. So I have set up 3 separate jobs, each of which creates a different PDF output format. So this first job takes this PDF A1B input folder. It produces output right next to the input files. The folder actually contains just the same 2 email messages once again, and it creates PDF A1B. The second job takes the second folder, creates PDF A2U. Maybe let's start this one already. And the third folder takes, again, the same input files, creates PDF A3U. And this will help demonstrate the different options that we have for handling the attachments. Okay. So for this folder, it's still running. All right, here we go. So this is the PDF A1B version of the email message. And suddenly you see we have more pages in the PDF document because, as Thomas described, all the pages from the attachments are being converted to pages and appended to one and the same PDF document. So you see we have the original email body with the header files here on page 1, then we have this fax document on page 2, we have this Excel spreadsheet on page 3, and then starting on page 4 we have the slides from the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, there are no files attached to this PDF document because PDF A1 does not allow that, but there are bookmarks. So this document actually contains bookmarks, and each of the bookmarks points to the first page in the PDF file corresponding to that attachment. So that helps you navigate through the attachments. Of course, in this case it's rather straightforward, but if you imagine you have multiple Word files and they're all pretty much formatted in the same fashion, it can be rather confusing to distinguish which pages of the PDF document originated from which one of the Word files. Okay, so much for PDF A1. The jobs all have finished here, so we have PDF A2 here as well. And this looks slightly different. We have, again, only a single page, only containing the actual email header and body, but none of the attachments. But we have the attachments now as attachments to the PDF file in terms of PDFs in their own right. So all the attachments have again been converted to PDF pages, but they are now separate PDF documents embedded in the overall document. And these are again PDF A files in their own right. Okay? That's our processing default for PDF A2. And now we get to Thomas's favorite, which is PDF A3. And here we have again, come on, that correct. PDFA3U. No, something is amiss here, and I need to check what's going on. Maybe I played with the options one too many times. Okay. So I need to run this again. I juggled with the options and then I ended up with a different set, and that's actually not what I wanted to show you. Sorry for that. Because what I just wanted to point out, the default option with PDFA3U is once again, no, come on. Is once again to have all the pages of the attachments attached as pages to the main document. So again, we have 17 pages here, all the slides from the PowerPoint presentation. But what we also have, and we have the bookmarks once again, so that works just as well. But we also have file attachments to the PDF output now, and these are the original attachments to the email message in their original file. So if I open up this Excel document, again I get the Excel spreadsheet in Excel, and that of course has the advantage that if you have, say, macros defined on the Excel which do not have a representation in this PDF version, or if you say have animations in your PowerPoint presentation which also are lost during conversion to PDF-A, then these are preserved, and assuming in the future you have a suitable version of the Microsoft Office Suite available, you can open up these documents once again from the versions that are stored in the PDF-A file. So hopefully I didn't get you confused with my short excursion here into the options. These are, maybe I'll repeat that slowly once again. If you just double click on one of these job entries, you get the settings for the job, and for the more specific conversion options, which can also be set in order to create something different from these default options that we just saw for the various versions of PDF-A, you have this button here, Email Conversion Options. And for all three jobs that I showed you, I chose the default, which does what kind of suits this version of PDF-A best. You may recall from what Thomas said, each subsequent version of the PDF-A standard became a little more permissive in terms of what's allowed. PDF-A1, no file attachments allowed. PDF-A2, file attachments allowed if they are PDF-A all the same. And PDF-A3, arbitrary file attachments are allowed. And that governs the default conversion here. For PDF-A1, we convert all the attachments to PDF and embed them in as pages in the same file. For PDF-A2, we convert all the attachments to PDF-A and attach them in that fashion as PDF-A file attachments. And in PDF-A3, again, we put all the pages of the attachments in the main document, but attach the original file attachments in their original formats to the PDF document. But with this options dialog here, you have the chance to choose something different. Default is what I just described. Ignore is pretty straightforward. Well, don't do anything with the attachments. And then you have specific conversion, and there you can choose based on the PDF-A level that you have chosen here. You can choose what to do, whether to embed pages into the main document, whether to attach PDF-A versions, or whether to attach the originals. And since I have the most permissive level of the standard chosen here, I could do all three of them, which would be quite a bit of an overkill. But in theory, you can you can choose arbitrary combinations here. Then you have the options to treat errors during processing attachments as warnings, so you won't stop a job where an error occurs, but you will just receive a warning if some attachments could not be converted. That may be quite useful in practical production. And finally, you have very specific options where you can enter file extensions which are either explicitly to be included and all else are excluded from attachment processing, or the other way around, everything you enter here is excluded and everything else is processed. And you can do that both for attaching files to the output and for converting attachments to PDF pages. This may be a bit confusing at first sight, but it allows for a broad range of applications and use cases, and we are of course at hand to help you set up specific configurations that suit your needs in terms of your everyday use of email conversion here. So, Thomas, what else? Did I miss anything?
No, thank you very much. And yes, I think you showed nice examples and options, but as Armin just said, you need to find what fits for your email archiving purposes, but you have seen there are multiple options with multiple benefits. I'm checking for questions. One is a good question. It asks about compression, but maybe not a complete answer.
Okay. Basically, if, of course, we attach email attachments in their original format, as is recommended for PDF-A3, we don't touch them, we don't compress them. Okay, so they remain at their original size, and of course the resulting PDF-A3 then is not smaller than the corresponding input file. If, on the other hand, we convert something to a PDF page, then the default is to run it through our compression. So basically the setting here, PDF optimization, applies, and we would apply bitonal image optimization and color image optimization. So if, for example, a Word attachment to an email contains scanned pages or other large images, we can run them through our compression and thereby reduce their size. And this, of course, is optional, so you can switch it on and off. And it's the same with OCR. So if you know you have a lot of attachment that, for example, contains scans in Word documents or in PDF documents, then you can run them through the usual Luratech MRC plus OCR processing along the way, and in that case they tend to get smaller, of course. So you see that here with a PDF-A2U example where no originals were preserved. This one becomes considerably smaller than the original EML file. But mostly one can say this email conversion is not primarily about compression.
Okay, thank you. Then there's another question. How do we make an index of mails and mail subfolders? So can you briefly describe the...
You have the option to include several subfolders. Of course, I didn't show this here because in the brief time we have for this webinar, I only chose folders each containing 1 or 2 files, and you have this option here under Input Options to include subfolders. In that case, the PDF compressor would pick up all files matching these formats specified here in all the subfolders of the chosen input folder, and you can also specify a different output location, and it would then recreate the structure of the input folder structure below the output location. Plus, you can also insert bookmarks for every file consumed, and you can combine documents from one folder into a single PDF. So that gives you a range of options to combine files from folders into PDFs and have bookmarks associated with them. And it also helps you to preserve an output folder structure of PDFs converted from email input files.
Okay. Thank you, Armin. Then I will try to pick back the screen. So one other question was for direct Outlook integration. Yeah, maybe I can answer this because we discussed this technically. Armin can do it, but our experience, especially with larger customers, was that their system admins does not want us to directly grab into Outlook. So typically the setups are that the PDF compressor is sitting somewhere like in this graphic here in between the Outlook, but typically it's not wanted that we directly integrate into Outlook or any other mail server and then somewhere in between the archive and ECM system. Yeah, and this is what you have hopefully seen from Armin. So the complete PDF compressor, I think, was too much, so we're happy to discuss more details on that, how to benefit from PDFA3. What's wrong?
One more thing concerning the indexing. One further option that you also have is for every file that PDF compressor processes, you can issue a command after successful processing or after processing failure, and that can of course be used, for example, to write an index file with key data for each email message processed. So that may also help you in terms of keeping track which emails were processed at what point of time. Of course, it's all in the log file, but the log file is not something you would necessarily deal with in your everyday production. It contains a lot of statistical information as well. Okay, that's just what I wanted to add.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Armin. Well, yeah, PDF compressor. So just to mention this, so PDF compressor is also good for converting everything to PDFA, whether it's scanned, whether it's pure digital documents. So obviously today we focused on the emails, and this is also the general idea of PDFA, to really do not have the, what I like to call the format zoo. So you have an animal of each document and file type in your archive. No, that's likely what you do not want to have. Likely you will also not reach 100%, so obviously this is a slide from the PDF Association. This assumes 100%. Practically this does not work, but you can reach 95, 97, I don't know the exact numbers, but give you the level, and this is where you really can have all the PDFs, the digitals, the scanned documents, the internal documents when it comes to the archiving where you want to convert those. So obviously PDF does not want to replace Office applications. Office is quite good as long as we work, or as long as I work with a business partner on a Word, but when maybe it's a contract, when we're coming to the point where we want to sign it, then it's a good idea to convert it to a long-term safe PDFA file, and there are other features and options. Yeah, a short idea about the licensing and pricing model. So obviously PDF compressor can be used in your organization, and we are happy to discuss this afterwards with you. What we try with our models is to have, yes, a flexible pricing according to your needs, also according to your company size. If you're a small company, then you can really start with a small volume like 12,000 pages per year, which is also very cost effective. Then our, let's say, bestseller is the PDF compressor standard for one core, which can approximately, depends on different parameters, but basically something like 5 million. But if you are much beyond, and I have seen some large insurance customers here in the webinar, so we also have customers which are running 25 million pages per year or even more. And we also, then it comes to PDF compressor with multiple cores, so you just add hardware. And we have customers which are running PDF compressor with 20 cores, and the largest one is running 68 cores, just to give you an idea. There's also the option for one time, which is not so important. in the email thing. This is more when you're in other environments. And obviously I also want to mention for the year end and the opening of Foxit Europe, we have a current promotion running. So if you're already testing PDF compressor, if you're close to a decision, then it would be good to benefit from this special promotion campaign. And yes, time is nearly over and we should come to an end. So this is a try for a summary, and this is hopefully what we could give you as information in this webinar. So we hope you can take this as an information that PDFA is really a safe long-term archiving option for emails, make them safe, have a good, yes, still a working version, but also a good archive version. As I said, and I want to repeat it, this is a foundation, have a good email documents which you can handle, but the whole email management is more. So you want to talk about policies. So one of the practical tips, if possible, do not try to accept every attachment. So depends a little bit on your position, but take the best case if you're a federal government, and we know those cases. They just say you cannot send us MS Office, Microsoft Office and PDF, and that's it. Don't send us a CAD file. And if you are in the position to do something, it really helps. And if you try to convert every exotic and super exotic file type, this may be much more effort than the benefit and the value. Should become integrated into a complete email management solution, which typically is a document management system or an ECM system. And then if you have that, then it comes all together. As I said in the beginning, you again have the digital customer folder where everything, I was the insurance customer and I still the insurance customer, everything of my case is together, and the employee in your organization can really work very efficiently with all the documents in order to handle the case. And then this will really give you the emails and especially the attachments under control, because you never know if you just archive this on a hardware basis, can you read this even in 1 year? The application may be gone. The software vendor may be gone. Think of all those cases, and I guess you know examples from your daily life where there's a mail, or I've seen this in a national archive, so there are funny file types and nobody knew what this is all about. So and PDF will be around, and even I don't hope so, but if Foxit goes away, PDF and the ISO standard will be there, as we can hopefully showed you. If you want to have a test version, we are happy to deliver this one. Please do not hesitate to contact us for this. And as I said, and I want to repeat it, so it's proven approach, proven application. So many and also large customers are doing this together with PDF compressor for many years. So we would like to thank you for your attendance. Hope you got some good information, and we're obviously happy to continue the discussion with you, and the questions will be double checked, and we will be happy to deliver more information on your questions for this interesting discussion. Thank you. Armin, also say more questions? Yeah, last question, sorry.
We have a few more questions, but in order to stay in the time frame, I suggest we answer them by email afterwards. Okay. So thank you very much also from my side, and have a nice day and a great weekend.
Thank you, and bye-bye.